I know when I was a college student in the late 80s, early 90s, my then husband was a wrestler, and everybody came to my house to eat. I don't know if I was a good cook or just because we had food, but in the culture that I come from, you cook for everybody. And so my house was open all the time, and food at college is very expensive when you have to pay for the food tickets and all of that, and I didn't know you could use EBT, or you could even apply for services, but I think that's great because it didn't used to be that way. And I think that whatever we need to do to create that educational environment of learning is very important, and food is the staple. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'm in favor of EBT, mentions that. But I take this a step further. I don't want kids on food stamps. And I would take this even a step further. What is contributing to hungry kids, hungry families, hungry communities? And I would say that we have a housing problem right now. We have very, probably you students know this.
Microphone closer, please.
Oh, sorry. The cost of housing is pretty significant, and that's competing with the dollars that you have left over for food and other things. So then let's take this a step further. Why is housing skyrocketing? Well, it's an inventory problem. And, I ran back in 2014 talking about foreclosures. I'll tell you, if you go around the state, you will see empty house after empty house after empty house. Unfortunately, water under the bridge. These folks move to our communities now, the rural people move to the urban communities, looking for rents jump up. People who can't afford the rent end up on grandma's couch or out on the street. So I was talking about that back in 2014. Most of the legislators didn't want to talk about this issue, didn't want to stop unlawful foreclosure. So now, we got a significant issue. Well, there's another contributing factor to the cost of housing. It's the cost of building housing. If the cost of something is increasing, that means you have a demand for that product, so to speak. So we need more of the product. And what I'm being told by builders right here in our community is the cost of building houses is such that they have to build homes that are over between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet to turn a profit. The idea of micro houses, that's off the table because of the zoning and regulation and so on and so forth. So this is actually one of the reasons I'm running for office, because I think, again, we need to think outside the box. The taxation and regulation is putting pressures on our families, our communities, and obviously students that, we need to really address this issue. In my mind, we don't need more wealth redistribution, which is taxing one party to pay for programs and another, for other parties. We need wealth creation, and we need more housing and so on and so forth. So I, when elected, would be talking, and I come at this from a common sense perspective. Some people think libertarians want to do away with the government and do away with everything. Come on. We have to have some common sense. But I would like to start the conversation. Let's look at some of the regulation that might be burdensome and unnecessary and bring down the cost of housing, bring down the cost of food, create jobs, foster a free market economy. There is this idea that Democrats are, maybe have more heart, so to speak, and us libertarians, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and free enterprise and all that. But the reality is, free enterprise is the most compassionate philosophy. Free enterprise has brought more people out of poverty around the world than any government program or government institution. Because free enterprise empowers you and you and you to find solutions to the problems in our community. Now, the flip side of that, of course, is responsibility, and we have to take responsibility for our communities. But we really need to change the conversation here, folks. We have had 3 decades in Washington. We've had 3 decades of this tax and spend wealth redistribution. I'm sorry, but when you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and expect different results, that's insanity. I want to take some sanity and common sense up to Olympia, and that's why I would appreciate your vote. MichelleForTheHouse.com, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, woo!
All right, so yeah, we're gonna move into audience questions. So we'll